Hey y'all, welcome and welcome back to my channel. It's me, KiaSimone, and we got to get into episode 4 of the Braxtons, and I'm going to tell you, I don't know how this review is going to go because I have been as kind and compassionate and considerate as I can be of every single character and every single person's position and the drawbacks and what they may be dealing with and going through. But quite frankly, I'm about sick of they shit. And every single one of them is about to catch the smoke. I'm tired. I've watched episode 4. I've seen most of Trina and Von's live, the first live. Then I saw that there was a second live where during the live or close to the end of the live, Towanda calls Trina. Trina is talking to her on speakerphone during this live, and they talking trash about the husband, Tracy's ex-husband, or not ex-husband, Lord God, forgive me, Tracy's widowed husband. I don't, what's the proper terminology? I don't even know. I'm so damn, I don't even know. But they were talking about Tracy's husband and the fact that he done took his apple ass down to the internet and did his own interview. The way that these people are carrying on, I'm just absolutely disgusted. And I think part of the reason I'm so irritated and I'm so like about to flip the table is because in episode 4, I really feel like we got to see Tracy's son's heart. You can see that he has Tracy's heart. He has a beautiful heart, and Tracy went through it with this family, with their husband. And now everybody want to act like, oh, it's all about Tracy and Tracy's legacy and keep her legacy alive. And everybody care about Lil Kevin, and Lil Kevin is out here on a limb. Let's just get into this episode. Before we do, please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe if you've not already. So episode 4 opens up with Trina and her husband, Von, and Towanda and her man, Sean, all arriving at an Airbnb somewhere in Maryland because they're there to check on little Kevin. Well, they're looking around the place and getting the lay of the land, and they all sit down in the living room to talk and catch up and I guess plan out how they're going to spend their time there. So Tawanda's man, Sean, is talking about how he don't want to see Von walking around in this bitch like his baby boy, just busting the refrigerator open, looking for orange juice, butt naked, and nothing but tube socks. Trina said, well, hold on now, because Von don't even wear tube socks. Von said, yeah, no, I don't wear tube socks, but I can't guarantee you won't get your eye full of, that's why I'm getting me a glass full of juice. They said, oh no, we gonna go find us a room. This here is some bullshit. Now I'm trying to figure out, y'all ain't had talked about that before y'all got here when y'all was booking the Airbnb. Like, y'all didn't say, hey, your man like to walk around with all his shit hanging out? Because if that's the case, I'm going to go ahead and get me and my man our own space because I don't want to see your man. I guess the simple version of my question is, why is y'all playing in our face? So Towanda changes the subject and she asks Von, hey, where your ring at? Because your hand look as bare as mine and my man. Trina said he lost it. Von said, no, I didn't lose it. They said, oh, well, what happened to it? This man said, well, what had happened was Trina had an event that I went to with her, and at the event I had hit my hand and cut myself, so I took the ring off and I've been able to find it ever since. They said, so like she said, you lost it. I said, oh, you one of them kind of liars. You gonna tell this bullshit story like you telling us something different from what she said. You gonna undermine the truth that she told about you by telling some different version of the truth. What the fuck? He told me, but I know, I mean, it's somewhere in the house. It got to be in the house. Towanda said, well, hold on, how your ring somewhere in the house and you said you took it off at the event and you haven't been able to find it since you took it off at the event? This man said, because I had it in my pocket, so it got to be somewhere in the house. You know what? Matter of fact, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to find it and shut all y'all up. Oh, well, how are you so sure you can find it? If you that sure you can find it, it don't sound all that lost to me, because how you go from you don't know where your ring at, your wife been asking you for months, and now all of a sudden when they calling you out on TV about it, you know what, I'm gonna just go find the ring. How the hell you just go find something that's lost? Wasn't it lost and found? So now Towanda changes the story to the real storyline, and here she go with her bullshit about, I know we all know that Scratchy has been going through a lot. Von said, who is that? They said little Kevin. She said, I've been calling him that since he was little. Von said, I never heard that. I wish she would leave us and them alone with that Scratchy bullshit, because don't nobody know who she talking about and when she came up with that shit. Why you got to explain to everybody who Scratchy is and where you got that name from, if that's what you've always called him. Well, they decide that the best thing for them to do is go find something fun to do before they do the hard shit. So they going to play go-karts before they go see about their nephew. So then we cut over to Toni, who's I think in either Vegas or LA, and she's getting ready for her shows and being Toni Braxton. And she's on the phone with Trina catching up about them visiting Maryland. Trina is saying how while they're there, they're going to visit their dad and their brother and of course little Kevin. And so Toni asks, well, are y'all also going to talk to his dad? Are you going to talk to Big Kevin? Trina said, that's a big negative. That's going to be a hell no. Trina said, I can't talk to them. Are you willing to talk to him? Toni said, I mean, yeah. Toni is in the confessional saying how she understands that nobody in her family really wants to deal with Big Kevin because there was a very public rift between him and their family when Tracy passed because Tracy communicated to them, to her sisters, her mom, to her family, that she didn't want a funeral. She didn't want anything public. I believe she wanted to be cremated. She said she didn't want people looking over her body and all kinds of things like that. But he decided to go against her wishes. He decided to have a funeral and put it on the internet. Toni goes on to say that the thing is, a marriage is a very private affair. It's between two people. So while we may have had one understanding, we don't know what was discussed between them as man and wife. So we don't know if maybe Tracy changed her mind and they came to a different agreement, or if maybe he needed that for himself. Maybe that was part of his grief process. Now, why he would need to put it on the internet is beyond me. I low-key think Toni was being sarcastic, but to a degree, she's right. A marriage is a private affair. It is between two people, and they don't know what was discussed. Now, do I think he went against Tracy's wishes? Yes, I do. I do think that Tracy made her wishes known. I don't think there was any separate private back-end marital agreement that nobody else knew about. I think he just wanted to get one last show. He wanted one last money grab. And he decided he was going to sell tickets to her homegoing service, which is absolutely deplorable and disgusting. I don't know how you go to sleep at night and how you wake up and look at yourself in the morning. I don't know how you do it, but that ain't me. That ain't my business. What I do think is going on is Toni is speaking from a place of consideration of her family's tendency to overstep boundaries because she feels like she has been so severely impacted by their boundary blindness, by their willingness to just stomp all over your boundaries and be all up in your business and all in your life. I think she's giving consideration to who they are and how they are to say, yeah, he's a mess. He is very problematic, but y'all don't know how to mind y'all damn business either. Toni also goes on to say in the confessional that maybe it's worth having the conversation so that they can figure out why Big Kevin and Little Kevin are estranged from one another. They can help heal that relationship and bring Little Kevin as much peace as possible. Now, that's the difference between somebody who wants healing and somebody who wants control. People who don't give a damn about the condition of the person and just want to control all of the dynamics in the relationships, all you want is control. Toni is speaking about what is in the best interest of Little Kevin. I don't give a damn that you don't like the man. I know you don't like the man. I don't like the damn man. But I love my nephew more than I dislike my brother-in-law. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes to facilitate healing for my nephew. And Toni goes on the phone conversation with Trina to say that there's a part of me that has a curiosity. I don't know why he did what he did. Now, I feel a way about what he did, but I have a curiosity about why he did what he did. So I would like to know for my damn self. Trina said, Toni, we heard Tracy. He chose what he wanted for himself over what Tracy wanted. Toni said, but we don't know what goes on in a marriage. We don't know what was discussed between them. We just don't know. And Trina responds by saying, well, yes, I do, because I was right there in the room when she passed. There was no talk. She couldn't even talk. Well, I don't think that would be the particular moment when those kinds of discussions would be had and decisions would be made. And I think that's what Toni is referring to, is that we're not privy to every discussion that was had and every decision that was made. And maybe we need to have certain conversations so that we can come to terms with what information we were and were not privy to, and we can verify that, yeah, this motherfucker did exactly what we think he did. Trina said in the confessional that Toni has always been the peacemaker, the peacekeeper in the family, and maybe that's because she's the oldest. She said, but she's just not in the right frame of mind to meet with Tracy's widower. And on the phone, Tony said, well, listen, we can agree to disagree, but let's agree to at least discuss it. Trina said, look, I ain't going to talk to them. I'm not going to deal with them, but we can come together as a family and discuss it. And if y'all want to get together as a family and deal with Dexter, then I'll show up. I think Tony made a very smart suggestion. I think it's very smart to have the conversation with him and have it with him on TV, because distance creates the opportunity for deception. He gets to be off in a corner having independent interviews where he can control the narrative, and there is nobody to refute anything that he says, to really truly question anything that he says, any motive. There's no one else with any kind of inside information that could say use a damn lie. So he can be over here manipulating whatever narrative he wants to, just like y'all can. But the smart thing to do would be have the conversation and have it on a public platform. Let's talk about how you exploited your deceased wife. Let's see you lie and deny, putting together a whole Motown show and selling tickets. So we move on. We see Trina and Towanda and Sean. They're out go-karting. They play their little go-kart games. They sit down to eat. And Trina brings up the conversation that because I guess Towanda brought some food that she cooked to the go-kart place that she made for her man, Trina said, y'all are acting like a married couple. Speaking of, when we gonna hear wedding bells? I said, here we go with this bush. Here we go. This some her sister done put her up to. Towanda done sent this damn girl to ask this man, ask him when he gonna marry me. So Towanda playing crazy, telling her man, don't engage. Girl, please, you sent your sister to ask this. Trina said, well, I'm just trying to understand what's going on, because back when this show was on TV before, we saw a whole scene of Sean going to talk to our daddy to ask for Tawanda's hand in marriage. So what happened between now and then that you ain't never asked her for her damn hand in marriage? Now they go on to show the scene of Sean actually asking their dad for Tawanda's hand in marriage. And this is back in 2020. When Sean asked the man, the daddy said, well, you don't really want my blessing, because if I say I ain't gonna give it to you, you gonna marry her anyway. I said, well, damn, maybe that's why he never asked. So now Tawanda's in the confessional trying to act like she is just disinterested and unbothered about this whole proposal thing. About people keep asking me, what do you think about Sean proposing? And as far as I'm concerned, the question needs to be posed to Sean, because I can't propose myself, and I'm never, ever, 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 ever asking a man anything about proposing to me. That's the worst thing you could do. Yeah, so you send everybody else to ask. Now here's the thing. Towanda talked that shit and act like, I'm not going to ask him, and that's not my concern. That's the worst thing you could ever do. But she ain't going to run that bullshit on me, because this is the same Towanda that, if I remember correctly, when they did have Braxton Family Values on TV a while back, when her and this man first got together, I remember them having this scene after they announced that they were together, where I believe they were at the studio, and Towanda starts trying to drop hints to the man that she might be pregnant or be trying to get pregnant as a way to, I guess, lock him in. And that man had to tell her on TV, I got a vasectomy. I don't know who you think you're playing with. So if you get pregnant, it won't be for me. So she can miss me with this whole, I'm not even worried about it. I'm so disinterested in getting married. I don't know why everybody else is asking, because you talking to everybody else about it. We not going to play like you sitting around there with your feet kicked up. I ain't worried about no paper. I don't give a damn whether he married me or not, because you the same chick that was over there trying to figure out how to put a baby on him. So then we cut over to Tamar. She is filming a podcast. They're doing their 100th episode of a podcast. I believe it's called We Sound Crazy. And she's there as the special guest. They're talking to her about what's going on in her life. And she's talking about, first of all, she got some candle line, some spiritual candles called intentions that you burn with intentions. And all of the candles have a stone inside. Also not the preacher trying selling the rocks and the candles and shit. But she said it's something that burst out of what helped her. She said she had her own spiritual candles that she used to burn with intention to try to get her mind right and her spirit together, and it helped her. So now she gonna help the world with her own line of candles. All right. So as Tamar is filming this podcast, they take notice to the fact that there's TV cameras here, because apparently this is a TV show about them making a TV show. So they said these cameras clearly belong to Braxton Family Values, what made you go back to the show? Because we know she done dragged them all up and through the internet before. She said what made her go back is, first of all, when Tracy was on her deathbed, Tracy made it very clear that she wanted her story told. And Tamar said she agreed back then. She told Tracy then that she would do it. So after Tracy passed and everybody came together and decided that they would do it, they wanted to do it, her mom came to her and her mom humbly asked her about participating in the show, and she just didn't want any more regrets. So she agreed to do it, and she was the last person to agree to do it. Tamar goes on to say that for her, the experience of filming Braxton Family Values has had a different outcome than it has for her family, because we know she started out married to the executive and childless and living the life and talking shit and looking down on everyone, and that ain't quite where she is no more. But Tamar says she has grown, she has changed, she is better, so this is gonna be better. She ain't gonna let them take her off her square, no damn mo. So we move on and we see everybody getting together at the restaurant to have this family meeting and family discussion to check on little Kevin. Well, Towanda and Sean get there first, and then her father gets there. So her father comes in and hugs her, and they all greet each other. He sits down, and Sean asks her, "Dad, how you been doing? What's been going on with you?" He said, "You know, I'm just trying to figure things out." Sean said, "What you mean by that?" Their dad said, "Well, I'm just trying to figure out what happened between the last time I talked to you and now, because the last time I talked to you, you told me something about y'all taking it another step, and I ain't seen y'all step nowhere." Towanda said, "That's my cue. I'm going on to the restroom. Thank you so much. Excuse me." So Sean explains to the dad that, you know, my primary goal is just to make sure that she's happy. We're in a really great place right now, but you know, I got my little plan that I'm working on, and then when something changes, you will be the first to know. Their dad said, "Yeah, no, I don't want to be the first to know. Let Towanda be the first to know, and I'm sure she'll let me know. I'll be second." I have to wonder what it feels like to be at that stage of life, because this man is at least in his mid-40s, maybe even 50s. What does it feel like to be at that stage of life, to look a woman's father in the eye and have to bullshit him about your plans with his daughter? Like, I ain't really got no plans for this woman. I'm about 40, 50 years old. Yeah, I am. We just doing what we doing. We ain't going nowhere really. I just kind of want somebody to pass the time with, stir my food up on the stove and stuff, you know. Like, how must it feel to have your own gray beard sitting up there bullshitting somebody's daddy? And I understand Towanda just getting up from the table, because this shit is shameful. I'm damn, you know how old I am? And my daddy still having to ask you, what is your intentions with my daughter? So as soon as Towanda walks back in, we see Trina come in with little Kevin. They're followed by their brother Mikey and all of his children and wife, and the whole family shows up. So the brother Mikey is saying, you know, it's been a really long time since they've all gotten together like this. And he was asking, when do y'all think it was that we last got together like this? And Towanda said Tracy's. And they all got really quiet and somber. And Tracy's son spoke up to ask everyone, how have y'all been since my mother's passing? When I tell you I needed a sheet ministry, somebody just come pick me up off this floor. Just that one moment told me so much about his heart, about who he is as a person, that as the most grieved one at the table, his concern was everybody else. And they so damn silly. They get to, yeah, I'm just going through Towanda, so, you know, it just be sometime and be like, damn, she gone. And the dad is saying how Tracy used to call him or text him every morning. She would send him little quotes and little funny memes and things, and how much he misses that. And you can just see the sadness in her son's face as he's listening to it. And I'm sure it comforts him in some way, you know, hearing these stories and reminiscing and memories of his mother. But you can just see that that's all he has, is these stories and memories and reminiscent moments about his mother. You can see him just sitting there trying to hold it together. And Vaughn finally spoke up and said, "Are you okay?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm straight." And finally, one of his cousins, one of his peers, spoke up and asked the question that needed to be asked. Leave it to the next generation, why don't you? A child shall lead them. The child spoke up and said, "What can we do for you as a family? Thank you. Trina said, that's a good question, Mike. You don't damn say. Ain't that the whole damn reason y'all supposedly here anyway? And y'all see that this baby, with all the compassion Tracy done left him with, is more concerned with asking y'all, how have y'all been doing? And y'all know he barely making it. And that's a good question. What can we do for you? Ain't that the whole point of y'all being here? Well, little Kevin answers to say, I'm at a point in my life that I don't know what that looks like for me. I don't know how y'all can show up for me. But just know that at the point that I am reaching out for help, it's an emergency. Trina asked, well, why do you feel the need to wait until it's an emergency to reach out to your family? He said, well, it's just that in life you have ups and downs. And when I'm going through my ups and downs, I'm also trying to figure it out as a man. And if I come running to y'all every time I have a hardship, where does that leave me? Lord, this Tracy child, God bless his heart. Tracy done raised this baby to stand on his own 2 feet. Don't even look for no help from nobody. Don't look to them. If they help you, if they're there for you, thank God for it. Consider it extra. Consider it a blessing. Be shocked by it. But be able to stand on your own 2 feet, baby. And their dad, his granddad, steps in to say, well, we don't want to figure things out for you. We just want to be there for you while you figure things out. And we want to let you know that it's okay to not have it figured out or to be hurt. It's okay, and we're here for you. He's probably not accustomed to being able to go to his family and ask for help. Because the one thing we not going to do is we not going to gloss over the fact that Tracy had tumultuous relationships with just about all her sisters. Like, she loved them and she worked to try to have a relationship with them, but there was a rift. There was a separation in the relationship. And Tracy often expressed how she felt excluded and left out in the cold when it came to her sisters and even her mom. So I'm not surprised that her son is not raised and reared to look to his family for help. So now Towanda gets into asking him, well, what's going on with you? Do you want to share? He said, well, I'm going through a divorce. I said, now, before y'all have this child spill all his damn beans in business, are y'all going to go around the table and everybody going to tell what they got going on? Is everybody throwing their problems and all their business and beans on the table? So Towanda goes on to ask him, well, so do you have to go back to court for what went on that night? And, everything that's going on? He said, I do. She said, oh my God, are you kidding? Oh, shut your ass up. So the dad goes on to ask little Kevin about what's going on with his relationship with his dad. He said, because it seems like maybe there was a wedge between Tracy's wishes and what she wanted and what he wanted to see. Well, this is when we find out that Tracy had been preparing for this a long time. He said Tracy set it up in her will for him, little Kevin, to take care of her arrangements and all of her final affairs. He said the problem is his mom had set that up long before she ever got sick. And his father is running around talking about, well, maybe she did that because she wasn't in her right mind. You clearly cannot be in yours. And that's exactly why the hell Tracy put her son in charge of her damn affairs. Because you probably called her crazy to her face while she was living, and you gonna go tell the world I've been out my damn mind because I wouldn't let your cheating, lying, dogged ass run my affairs when I knew you was gonna go do the bullshit you did, like selling tickets for people to come see me late. If she wasn't in her right mind. No, she let you think she wasn't in her right mind, and that's why you were able to get away with all the dog ass bullshit you were doing for years. That's why you think she wasn't in her right mind. Her will is set up to prove she ain't never been out her damn mind. She been in her right mind all along, and she knew who the right person would be to manage her affairs. Little Kevin said his father feels like maybe it was the influence of his mother's condition that caused her to be out her damn mind and say that her only child should be in charge of her affairs. But apparently the entire family was witness to and aware of Tracy's decision, that she made this decision long before she got sick, that she made it known to everybody that there was no one that she trusted to be in charge of her affairs aside from her son. And God bless his heart, he is the sweetest thing, because as Trina is tearing up while they're talking about this. He goes to comfort her and he's apologizing. And I'm sorry, Auntie, I didn't mean to upset you. I don't want you to be upset. And they had to tell him, baby, we ain't upset, but I ain't crying for me. I'm crying for you. Trina is tearing up saying that all of the decisions that your mom made and everything that your mom left, she didn't leave to any one of us. She left to you. And he's saying, you know, I know, but the position that I'm being put in and the kinds of questions that I've been asked, I've been basically made to feel like something is my fault, like I'm wrong. And when I tell you that shit made me fighting mad, I want to go find that man and drag him by his balls. I want to whoop his ass. But I guarantee you, Karma beat me there. She gonna tear your ass up. And his uncle, their brother Mikey, steps in to say, well, maybe you can say, hey, Dad, that was between you and Mom. He said, but I've said that already. And he responds to me and tells me, you know what, son, you don't know what it is. You don't know what it's like to be a husband. Ain't that child going through a whole divorce? What are you, say what? No, he don't know what it is to be a husband that dogged his wife out doing all that cheating and lying for years on end, and she beat your ass when she checkmated out the game. He don't know what it is to think you gonna get away with all that dirt for decades on end. And when it's time for her to go on to glory, she said, before I go, I got something for your ass. Yeah, that's what he don't understand. And his Uncle Mikey told him, well, listen, you weren't married to your mom. But what I do know is that moms tell their kids, their sons especially, what their plans are. He said, my wife's sitting right here, and I know she talked trash to our sons about me. So I know that mothers will advise and include their sons in their decisions and their wishes. And Towanda's in the confessional saying, you can't be mad at little Kevin for what Tracy wanted. You got to be out your natural mind to be angry at this child, y'all's child, the child you shared, for Tracy's decision. And then to be out here like you shocked. I'm sure that lady told you to your face before and after she got sick just how it was going to go down. You just thought she was going to let you play with her until the very end. See, we ain't forgot what kind of cheating, lying, motorcycle club chasing mother you are. Tracy told us a long time ago. See, we ain't forgot there was the whole scandal about some young girl claiming she had a baby for you. We ain't forgot. And then for you to leave your child to not only grieve his mother, but to navigate manhood by himself because you are bitter that you didn't get to be the beneficiary of who she was in this life. I don't know how you look in the mirror and see a man. That baby sat at that table and said, without my father, where do I stand in this life? He said, you know, I try to talk to him and he's talking to me about him and how he feels. And that's all right. But what about me? I'm sad. I feel like I'm by myself. I lost my mother. He needs his ass whooped. So fast forward, we see Trina take little Kevin to meet with the family attorney, who said the last time that he met with little Kevin is when they were going to the courthouse to probate his mother's will. Well, he came to talk to the man about exactly what's in the will. He said, because there seems to be some questions and contesting about what exactly my mother wanted. So the attorney asked him, well, what exactly is going on? Who got questions and concerns? Because I got all the answers you need. He said, well, it's my daddy. My daddy is running around saying basically he think my mama was out her damn mind. He explains to the attorney that, you know, it kind of hurts me for my dad to be insinuating that my mom wasn't in her right mind. So he asked the attorney, what do you think about that? What do you feel about the state of her condition at the time that she made these decisions? Well, the attorney dropped a good old bombshell. He said, I got something for that ass. He said, here's the thing. I visited with your mom a number of times before she started to decline. And your mom gave me permission to record her when I visited her. Kevin said, so you recorded the conversations? He said, every time. I said, I got that. That's my kind of carrying on. The attorney said maybe she believed that someone was going to try to challenge her will in some way, but she knew exactly what she was doing, especially in regard to who she wanted to be the executor of her will and who she wanted in charge of her image, brand, and likeness. It was one person, and that was you. He said, and she was in her right mind. Matter of fact, she was in her right mind so damn good, she stood in her kitchen and cooked me oxtails telling me this shit. Well, the attorney was surprised to hear little Kevin say that my mom has told me since I was young that she trusts me so much with her legacy that she would leave it in my hands. The attorney said, really? He said, yeah, she's been telling me that since I was young. He said, so this is no surprise to you. Yeah, she been know She married to a dog ass nigga that I can't trust in life or death. I don't know what it is with them Kevins, but from Wendy Williams to Tracy Braxton, these niggas ain't shit. He said his mom had always said, if anything ever happens to me, I'm leaving everything in your name. He said the only thing that changed for me, the only thing I was kind of surprised about is that at the end, she changed her mind about saying she did not want a funeral. She didn't want a service. He said that was the only thing that was different. And they said Tracy made that decision because she said she just didn't want people to grieve her that deeply. She didn't want people to go through the grief of having to see her in death, that she'd rather them go celebrate her life, go have a party somewhere. Well, it looked like young Simba is growing up because he said in this meeting that, you know, while he has this contention with his father, the one thing that he knows is that this is his birthright. He said because his father might have married into this family, but he was born into it. I said, you better check somebody. Let them know I'm the bloodline. Yeah, I'm the legacy. Yeah, hear me roar. So after this meeting, Trina goes back to her Airbnb and Towanda and Sean come over to visit and they want to catch up about what exactly happened when they went to this meeting with the attorney. Trina said, well, in my opinion, it's a tug of war. It's a power struggle because Big Kevin basically cannot accept what Tracy's decisions were. Trina is saying how it was not a case of our sister being on her deathbed and making these decisions at the very last minute when she barely holding on to life and we ain't sure if she know what she talking about. She said these decisions were made a long time ago before she was ever even diagnosed with cancer. Trina goes on to let Towanda know that earlier in the day, production wanted to film a scene with little Kevin, Big Kevin, and their dad. She said, but I don't know what that was supposed to accomplish, and Towanda lost it. Trina said, I made it very clear to production that I'm not trying to give his dad a platform in any way, shape, or form. And Towanda starts screaming for the showrunner to come here. So the showrunner comes in and Towanda said, I just want to know, why do y'all want him on the show? He said, why do we want him on the show? She said, yeah, I'll wait. I said, hold on now. Well, God knows I wish the showrunner would have brought his backbone with him, but he did not. He said, well, you know, this show is the Braxtons. So if y'all feel a way about that, I mean, it's just not going to happen. No. The show is the Braxtons, and y'all have decided to make Tracy Braxton's son the central storyline. You don't get to dictate the narrative around that storyline. You don't get to say who, when, where, and what gets to tell the story. Because at that point, you become just another version of Big Kevin, where you want to control and manipulate a narrative and you want the story to be told the way that you want it to be told. The goal is supposed to be healing and support for little Kevin. So if the crux of his problem right now is the failure of the relationship between he and his father, that needs to be the primary focus. We don't need 1,000 scenes of y'all sitting around tables bashing a man that y'all refuse to have any interaction with. That ain't what this is. Ain't nobody paid their cable bill to see that bullshit. He can be ain't You ain't gotta like him. You ain't gotta want to talk to him. But what should be going on is facilitation of healing for little Kevin. Fuck how you feel. All y'all are trying to use him as a pawn in your game. The episode comes to an end with Towanda telling the showrunner, never under any circumstances do I want that individual to ever be platformed on our platform again, period. And the showrunner said, well, it won't happen. But for me, you compromise the show. You compromise the full story. We don't get the full picture. We get the picture Towanda or Trina or whoever is in charge wants us to have. You've compromised the integrity of the production by saying, basically, I want to manipulate the narrative. If that man ain't him doing an interview or a scene on this show ain't gonna never change that. He gonna be H and HD everywhere he goes because the shit ain't on him, it's in him. And speaking of ain't shit that's in you, not on you, I saw clips of Trina and Von's lives. And first of all, I don't know what Von's problem is. I don't know. I know Trina has always been the kinky sister, but I don't know if this stoic shit, if this low-key talking shit, if this acting like you bothered by your wife or talking to your wife like she on your nerve, maybe, I don't know if that turns her on. I don't know. So I'm a low-key mind my business, but I'm not. So the first thing I thought is, you know what? That's the married people business. Maybe she likes the way he treats her. But I'm going to tell you this. I got to scrolling around the internet. And I saw a clip from Iyanla Fix My Life. Iyanla had a scene with Trina and her ex-husband, Gabe. And they were talking about how Gabe felt about Trina and how she treated him in this relationship. And you could see Gabe almost shaking with anger, talking about how Trina bullied him, how badly she treated him and talked to him during their marriage. And this is the man who came into her life and helped raise her children. And quite honestly, I believe what Gabe was saying just because I've watched these people for years. And it's not a thing that's exclusive to Trina. I can see it from their mama. I can see it throughout their sisterhood. You could tell, yeah, they talk to people kind of rough. And it may not help that they're Toni Braxton sisters. So when you have a superstar who's a sister, yeah, maybe you think you can talk to people all kinds of ways. But it was not lost on me that not so many years ago, she had a husband who's on TV talking about how this woman talks to him and how she treats him and how she was literally just another person in the line of people who had treated him so poorly throughout his life. And that's probably why he picked her, because he was accustomed to being treated badly and she was familiar to him. Well, I find it very interesting that Trina now finds herself in the position of having a partner who treats her the way that Gabe said she treated him. So while there's a part of me that wants to drag Vaughn and, yeah, you ain't shit, and I don't know why you be around there talking to that girl like that, you got attitude problem. There's another part of me that's like, maybe you just finally attracted your match. And I saw a clip from, I guess, their most recent live where Trina takes a call from Towanda on speakerphone during this live. And Towanda is telling Trina something along the lines of little Kevin called her to tell her that big Kevin is down to the internet doing interviews, dragging all them. And they are on the phone talking cash about the man, of course. But they got to dragging the man. And they talking nation. I sister this and I sister that. And you know, I was every shade of pissed off watching that bullshit because I find every single one of them to be performative. I'm not going to say I don't believe these women didn't love their sister and they didn't care about her and that they didn't have emotions and relationship that extended beyond the resentment. I'm not going to say that. However, we are not going to overlook that Tracy was literally labeled the wannabe on this show. That Tracy, at every opportunity, spoke about how excluded she felt by everybody in this family, from her mother to her sisters. We watched when Tracy had dreams and she wanted to open a salon and y'all laughed and played in her face. We're not going to pretend that they were these doting sisters and they were so supportive and they were willing to fight for her in life and now they're going to fight for her in death. We're not even going to play that game. We're not going to pretend that the same Towanda that's all up and through this internet and all up and through this TV show acting like she's the concerned sister and she's in charge of everything and she just wants to make sure that this young man is getting what he needs. We're not going to play like that's not the same Towanda, who the mother of that child called an absolute snake to her face and told her how she does exactly this. So for everybody to be fighting about their right to stand up for Tracy and tell her story, I find to be utter bullshit. Y'all ain't gonna tell me that this TV show is about Tracy's legacy and y'all got her son up here telling all his goddamn business about everything he got going on, about the grief from his mama. He's stressed out divorcing his wife. The daddy acting a fool and ain't talking to me. You mean to tell me you think Tracy wanted her child up here telling all his business on top of him actually going through all this shit? Miss me with that bullshit. Child, I was so irritated by that one scene. I had to get that off my chest. Maybe I'll go watch the whole live now. Child, I don't know. But that's it. That's all that I got no more. Thank you so much for coming down here listening to me and letting me get this off my chest. Please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe if you've not already. And in the meantime, until next time, just like every time, you know I love you and I mean it. Bye.